And welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant, where I give my in-depth analysis of all the content and pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. Today, it's ECW One Night Stand 2006, because every Tuesday in the month of June, I will be reviewing a One Night Stand pay-per-view as presented by the WWE. So, of course, once again, emanating from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, another great show all around, and personally, even my probably my favorite One Night Stand show today. I mean, I only watched two of them. But, I mean, of the two that I've watched, 05 and 06, I personally thought this one was better. But I'll get to my thoughts on that in a brief second. Kicking off the show, of course, Paul Heyman, the founder and genius behind ECW, coming out to address the fans once again. It's great to hear from him. Always a great promo. No shooting this time, but still pretty great stuff from Paul Heyman. So a nice way to kick off the show. First matchup on the show, Jerry Lawler versus Taz. They had a bit of a feud going into this event. Taz hadn't wrestled in years. He had to retire due to, I think, a neck injury, a severe neck injury. I think he broke his neck or something along those lines. So I was very surprised to see him wrestling on this show. Jerry Lawler, this is when he was still a heel commentator, arguably still at his best, and he wasn't a face and watered down and all that bullshit. But yeah, so we had this matchup kicking off the show between two commentators. Usually not a huge fan of two commentators feuding. Go see Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler for more information on that. But this was an entertaining feud because Jerry Lawler had ties to ECW dating back to the late 2000s, or the early 2000s, in the late 90s, when he used to make appearances in ECW. It was Vince McMahon's way of cross-promoting with ECW. It was good stuff. So it was a good way to tie Jerry Lawler into this pay-per-view because he had back history with the event, with the company. And then this was still when he was heel, I think maybe right before he turned face. I'm not exactly sure what the exact moment was when he turned face, but he was still a heel by this show. So before, as Jerry Lawler was making his entrance, slaps Joey Styles right across the face of the commentating table, makes his way down to the ring. As the bell rings, Joey Styles attacks Jerry Lawler from behind, gets on his back. Jerry Lawler throws him on the ground. Taz locks him in the submission. Taz locks Jerry Lawler in the Taz submission, makes him tap out. So only like a 30-second matchup, and which made sense because, like I said before, Taz I don't think could wrestle, but they just wanted to do the payoff, the whole ECW angle with Jerry Lawler and Taz and all that kind of stuff in ECW. So it was cool to see Taz in the ring, albeit for 30 seconds, but it was still really cool to see him lock in the Taz miss, and the fans popped big for that. Jerry Lawler finally getting his. So it was pretty cool. So to see Jerry Lawler tap out, Taz in the ring. Nice matchup to kick off the show. It was only like 30 seconds, like I said before, but it allowed Taz to get his match out of the way and then go join Joey Styles on commentary for the rest of the show, the ECW broadcast team that would stay together for the next 2 years. So that was pretty cool too. Up next, we had Kurt Angle versus Randy Orton. Kurt Angle issued an open challenge to anyone on any promotion. It was funny, too, because when they were showing the video package going into this matchup, Joey Styles said that Kurt Angle issued the challenge to anyone from a 4-sided, 6-sided, or 8-sided ring, which sounded like he was kind of making a TNA reference, but never mind. That's besides the point. But anyway, Kurt Angle, Randy Orton. Kurt Angle turned face a couple months earlier. Randy Orton was still doing the Legend Killer gimmick at the time. Wanted to kill the legend of ECW. A great matchup and arguably the best on the show. Got a lot of great time. Randy Orton, a lot of people give him shit. And of course, this is when he was still interesting to some people. And nowadays, people call him boring. But he's, whenever he's the Viper, the Legend Killer, whatever the hell he's doing, he's a great wrestler, puts on great matches. This matchup with Angle was no exception. A lot of great reversals. The crowd stole this show, especially during this match. I think there was a chant maybe every 5 seconds. There was not a point in this matchup where there wasn't a chant going. So that was very entertaining all in and of itself. So great matchup between these two. Probably would have, had the whole Taz and Lawler thing not happened, this would have been a great opener. But fantastic matchup. Kurt Angle makes Orton tap out, gets the 1-2-3, gets a submission victory. But like I said before, it was really interesting because, like I mentioned before, Kurt Angle the year before, as I mentioned in my 05 review, was one of the detractors of ECW. He had a problem with one of the things that they did, something Christ-related or something like that back in ECW a number of years ago, back in when it was still building up its brand. But so he was a big detractor of ECW at One Night Stand 05. Then a year later, he's absolutely loved and adored by the ECW fan base. So it just goes to show just how big of a difference 1 year can make. So that was pretty cool. Angle goes over there, a part of the ECW brand, as part of being drafted there. FBI versus Super Crazy and Tajiri. Fun tag team matchup. I like the chemistry here between all three guys, Little Guido, Super Crazy, and Tajiri. but I also like the storytelling. Granted, I don't even think the commentators mentioned this fact, but it was 1 year ago at the 05 One Night Stand show that Tajiri, Super Crazy, and Little Guido all faced each other in that hardcore triple threat match with Super Crazy doing the moonsault off the top of the barricade, and not the barricade, the rafters. That was awesome. So to see them in tag team action was really cool. Wasn't as great as that matchup, wasn't as fucking crazy, but I would argue that this matchup was better wrestled. Didn't have as many crazy spots, but it was better wrestled. A very fun tag team match. The FBI goes over, and Marmaduke and Little Guido, that was the team of FBI with Big Guido in their corner. So after that, after FBI goes over, out comes the Big Show, who had turned on WWE and joined the ECW brand on the prior Monday's episode of Monday Night Raw, of course. And so Big Show joining ECW, their newest draftee, coming down there. Not really to a huge ovation, but he definitely won them over after attacking everyone in the ring. And it's like wrestling 101. It's booking 101. Whenever you have a giant come down to destroy someone, it looks that much more impressive when he's destroying smaller guys. It makes him look that much more dominant. And also to have that little cool showdown between him and Big Guido. Granted, Big Show low-blowed him and did all that shit when I don't think he needed to. One chokeslam could have sufficed. But it was pretty cool, though, to get a little showdown between those two and to see Big Show dominate everyone else in the ring. That was a fun match, a fun post-match angle. Up next, we had JBL trashing the ECW audience like he did the year prior. Except this time, Raw and SmackDown and the GMs weren't there, just JBL, just in that same place that he was the year prior. Talking about Blue Meanie, he didn't say his name directly, but calling him, he called him Blueface or something along those lines, where it really, you can obviously tell he was talking about Blue Meanie. I didn't know the backstage incident as to what he was talking about. I guess they had a legitimate fight the year prior at One Night Stand, and the two had a big argument or something like that, and they actually started fighting, and Blue Meanie had a huge-ass shiner right on his right or left eye, and right above it on his forehead, too. So that looked pretty brutal. When I looked it up, I had to stop the promo and go back and look at JBL, the story with JBL and Blue Meanie. So that being said, though, I'm not really surprised. I've heard a lot of stories about JBL being a bully backstage to a lot of people, so I'm not really surprised. But it was a good promo to get heat from the crowd and whatever. Probably just some time filler since it didn't really serve a purpose. But it was still pretty cool, though, to get some heat from the ECW audience who told him to shut the fuck up and all that kind of stuff. That was entertaining. Up next, we had Rey Mysterio and Sabu in an Extreme Rules match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Joey Styles called this a dream match. Couldn't agree more. Very fun clash of similar styles. Great matchup. They made the most of it. The pace was consistent. I wanted to keep the show going. I didn't pause it, and I went to go get something real quick, and I just had to go get my thing, go run back. Actually, to write down the results for the show, I had to go running the notebook and the pen to go. I didn't stop the live stream. I just let it go, and I ran to go get my stuff and come back, and I just didn't want to miss anything because there was no slow pace at all. I mean, there were some slow points in like the Angle and Kurt Angle match, and that was a great matchup with the rest holds from Orton and all that kind of stuff. This matchup, for the 9 minutes that it went, and it should have gone longer, but I'll get to that in a minute, they made it matter. Every minute mattered. It was great. They didn't have any slow points whatsoever. And the only reason why it went 9 minutes, and it should have gone longer, was because of the fact that I think neither guy could continue. They speculated that both guys could have broken their neck or something like that. It was weird. But I don't think they broke their neck. They kind of overestimated that. That was a little odd. But anyway, it was an awesome spot that came at the end. There was a table on the barricade in the ring. Rey Mysterio is standing on it. Sabu jumps over the top rope, catches Mysterio into a tornado DDT through the table and onto the ground. It wasn't on like the concrete or anything. It was on a mat, so I don't know how injured they got. And it's always about the safety of the performer, so I'm glad they didn't continue. But I was a bit disappointed, as were the people in the arena who changed bullshit after the match concluded without a decisive winner. But even still, as it lasted, for as long as it went, I thought it was a great matchup. I don't know if they had a rematch next night on Raw or whatever, but the fact that the World Championship was defended was pretty cool. Rey Mysterio has ties to ECW, but Sabu is their own. So the fact they chose Sabu over Mysterio, who represents the SmackDown brand, wasn't surprising. But it was pretty interesting to see Mysterio get cheered like crazy the year prior, and then return to ECW a year later. He wasn't heavily booed, but he was booed obviously more than Sabu was because he was their guy. But still a very fun matchup. Up next, we had 6-man person action. It was supposed to be a tag team match. Mick Foley, Edge, and Lita taking on Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer, and Belula McGillicuddy. A great 6-man person tag team match. It was supposed to be just Foley and Edge versus Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer. However, due to the fact that the women wanted to get involved, they threw them in there. A great matchup, hardcore. They had a barbed wire table, steel chairs, everything, ladders. Terry Funk falling off a ladder. There was a barbed wire bat lit on fire. They hit Mick Foley square in the back and in the stomach a few times. Fell the ringside through a barbed wire table. It was fucking awesome. Great spots all around. Great stuff. Really, really enjoyed this matchup. Most hardcore matchup of the night would have to go to this, especially because just given how great it was. A lot of hardcore spots. Really awesome stuff. Really enjoyed it from start to finish. At one point, Terry Funk, something happened to his eye, and he acted like he lost his eye. But I guess it just got really damaged or something. He couldn't open it. So he went to the back, came back all bandaged up and everything with the barbed wire bat in hand. It was fucking awesome. Belula McGillicuddy taking a spear to end the matchup. Edge, Foley, and Lita go over here. Foley was working as a heel after turning on the ECW brand a couple weeks prior. So there was a great story going into it. The video package that told the story, because like I said, I don't watch what goes before this and what comes after. I just watch the event themselves. If they show the build-up in the video package, great. Then I get an idea of what the match is about, the story being told, all that kind of stuff. So I was very glad that they told that story throughout the match. The video package did a great job of recapping the rivalry between all these people involved. Great stuff. Foley, Edge, and Lita go over. Most hardcore match of the night. The award for the most hardcore match of the night, definitely this one. So if there's I'm not going to say this matchup, but if there's one matchup you got to go out of your way to see, main event, and definitely this one, Angle and Orton, all great matches. But I'll get to RVD and Cena in a minute. Up next, we had Masato Tanaka taking on Balls Mahoney. Pretty filler matchup, really wasn't much to this one. It was hardcore while it lasted. Masato Tanaka, like I said in my 05 review, wasn't aware of him at all before that show, but after his fucking awesome match with, no pun intended, with Mike Awesome, became a fan of him immediately. So great stuff from him. This matchup was, of course, not as brutal or as not hardcore, and even not as good, but it was still a fine matchup for what it was. Balls Mahoney is not the greatest in-ring wrestler in the world, but it was a fine matchup while it lasted. Balls Mahoney went over there, so it was only a brief matchup, really nothing to it. Served its purpose of killing some time. Speaking of killing time, after that we had Eugene come out, which was really strange. You would think that they're going to have someone from the WWE come out to get some boos, because he was absolutely hated by everyone in attendance after he was doing his little poem and stuff. Eugene is the epitome of what a babyface is. Just so lovable, and people can relate to him and stuff like that. They feel bad for him, sympathetic. So the fact that we were booing him and they put him in the position to get booed was very odd. I know he's from the WWE, but why not pick someone like a JBL to go out there or something? I don't know if they would have JBL take an ass whooping from the Sandman, who eventually came out, but I don't know, just the fact that it was Eugene was really weird. Sandman made his entrance through the people, and he came down and he attacked he just beat the living shit out of Eugene with a Singapore cane. So that was entertaining. They really wanted to see the Sandman. He got a couple chants earlier on in the night, so it was cool that they got to see the Sandman on the show. But it would have been better if he served a better purpose. I mean, like I said, it was cool to see him, and I'm glad he wasn't in the main event like he was on the year prior, because he's not the greatest wrestler. And if I was going to utilize him as a booker, I would put him in a segment like this. But the fact that he was even attacking Eugene was really weird. He came off like the heel, and Eugene came off like the face, if you disregard the fan reaction. So that was really weird. But, yeah, so there was that. That was probably just to kill time with the Mysterio and Sabu match being cut short. They needed to kill time somehow. Maybe Eugene was just fucking backstage. So they were like, hey, we're going to need you to kill some time out there. So maybe that's why. I'm not really sure, but if there was any one low point of the show, this would have to be it, but it wasn't really that bad that I would have to skip over it. But anyway, up next for the WWE Championship, RVD cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase that he won at WrestleMania 22 against the then WWE Champion John Cena. Terrific matchup, brought back a lot of memories of Cena versus Punk in Chicago at Money in the Bank 2011, my favorite match of all time as a wrestling fan. And a lot of the elements were similar, too, because they were talking about how if RVD won, he would take the championship to the ECW brand, which had made its debut 2 days later on Sci-Fi. He would re-Christian it, and stuff like that. If Cena wins, we riot sign. It's always classic. So great stuff there. A lot of similarities between the two stories are there. That's why I love this match so much. I think I've seen this before a couple of years ago, but after seeing the show in its entirety, I get a real feel of what it's about, the story, the video package, stuff like that. So, nevertheless, great wrestling match, good hardcore spots. Edge eventually interfered, put Cena through a table, helped RVD pick up the victory after Paul Heyman came down, counted them, and made the 3 count, got the 1, 2, 3, and helped RVD become the new WWE champion. Of course, it wouldn't be re-christened the ECW title. They would keep the WWE Championship belt and also give him the ECW Championship belt. He was a dual champion at the same time. And he said, "I like the spinner belt." His words exactly on the ECW brand when he brought back the ECW Championship belt, the original ECW title belt. But anyway, yeah, great matchup, great wrestling, great hardcore matchup. RVD goes over, much to the pleasure of the fans who pop big for his title victory. A great moment with him celebrating in the crowd with the WWE Championship. So a great moment, a great match. Kudos to Cena for putting RVD over. It wasn't a clean victory because Edge interfered, which would eventually lead to him being reinserted into the championship picture. But it was what it was. RVD can say he beat the face of the company on a pay-per-view, was WWE champion and ECW at the same time. It was a great win for RVD. He had to go and screw it up a month later by getting himself suspended, but that's another story for another day. So that closed out the show. Overall, I really enjoyed this show. Maybe if I was an ECW fan and I grew up on ECW, and of course I wasn't. I wasn't even alive when it first started. But like I said, this was the 05 was the first all ECW pay-per-view I've ever watched. And granted, it was produced by the WWE, and I still have to go back and watch an ECW pay-per-view. But that was still like a pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view I've ever seen featuring all ECW talent. And this one, maybe I enjoyed this one more because it featured more contemporary talent in guys like Edge and Randy Orton and Lawler and people like that from the WWE. So to see them mix it up with the ECW guys, I thought was more entertaining than doing a repeat of an old ECW pay-per-view from the early 2000s, late 90s. I thought it was better to do it this way, to mix it up with the WWE talent since they became a WWE brand technically, 2 days later, so they would have to mix it up. And that was the whole point of this whole storyline going into the show, was WWE versus ECW. So I like that aspect of the show. A lot of great matches, like I said before. Angle, Orton, go out of your way to watch that one. Mysterio, Sabu. The 6-person tag team matchup was fucking awesome. That's the only way to describe it. And the main event was really good too. Probably one of the better matches of 06, one of the better moments, with RVD winning the WWE Championship, his first and only world title aside from the ECW title. I'm talking about WWE. TNA doesn't count with these kind of videos, but nevertheless, I kid. But yeah, overall, I love the show. Really enjoyable. Go out of your way to watch it. Great crowd all night long. That goes without saying. The ECW fan base is known as one of the greatest fan bases in the world, so that goes without saying. Yeah, basically, like I said before, go out of your way to watch the show on the WWE Network. Great show. Enjoyed it more than One Night Stand 05. Will I enjoy One Night Stand 07 and 08 more or as much as this show? Remains to be seen. Tune in next week to find out for my review of One Night Stand 2007. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All support is greatly appreciated. This is Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch you guys next week.